the Marshfield Conservation Commission meeting of February 7th, 2024. May I have a second?
Second.
Is Corey on?
I do not see Corey Miles on.
Well, we will open the meeting, and we still have a quorum. So I have a commissioner who should be participating remotely. So we will take a roll call vote. Jesse?
Aye.
Bert?
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
John?
John O'Donnell, yes.
And Craig Hannafin, yes. Our first business, we have minutes for approval. December 6th, January 3rd, and January 17th. Does anyone have any edits or corrections, comments on minutes?
No, all right, they're fine to me.
In that case, I move to accept the minute meetings from December 6th, January 3rd, and January 17th as written. May I have a second?
Second, Bert O'Donnell.
John O'Donnell, aye.
Craig Hannafin, aye.
Bert O'Donnell, aye.
Jesse Platt, yes.
Okay. Our first order of business is 900 Ferry Street, the Recreation Department, removal of hazard trees. Would you like to present
Yes,
that one,
I'll
Mike?
speak on this one. So I received a call from Matt Eby, the foreman of trees, cemeteries at the DPW, regarding these subject trees at 900 Ferry Street. It's this is the fence for the playground at Coast Guard Hill. So there have been a number of larger limbs that have come down in the area of the playground. When I took a look at these trees, they appeared immediately hazardous. I spoke with Matt Eby and said that this could potentially go in front of the commission as an after the fact, that the trees were hazardous, posing a threat to anybody using the playground or within that fence line. But there are 3 cherry trees that are diseased or dead.
So did they already take down the ones that are really threatening the playground?
I believe they've been taken down or they're scheduled to be taken down.
Okay. So we need to, I guess we will vote this as a de minimis activity, since this is this owned by Concom, or?
It's owned by the rec department.
The
Those
rec
trees
department.
are in jurisdictional boundaries.
They're in
to
our
the
jurisdiction
Concom.
on the
Yeah, they're
property.
within 100 feet of the salt marsh back there.
Okay, so I move to vote as a de minimis activity, the removal of hazard trees at the Coast Guard Hill Recreation Area that are threatening the playground area. May I have a second?
Second, John O'Donnell. Aye, John O'Donnell.
Craig Hannafin, yes?
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jesse Platt, yes.
Okay.
Is that Corey now?
Corey, I see that you've just joined.
Corey has joined, okay. I just want to note that Corey Miles, Commissioner Corey Miles has joined at 6:34. We have opened the meeting, Corey, and we are on business item number 2, John Sherman Estates. And so John Sherman Estates has an open space area designated around the subdivision. It was developed as an open space residential development. When this began, it was intended that this open space would be ultimately covered by a conservation restriction. Since that time, the town has moved away from holding conservation restrictions. Conservation restrictions have to meet a best practice standard that is beyond the scope of town enforcement. So now it is proposed that this land will be turned over to the care and custody of the Conservation Commission under Article 97. Are there people here who want to address this? No, okay. I was led to believe there was some concern about not having a conservation restriction on this. But I do want to point out that under Article 97, this is very, very protected. If you have land under Article 97, and if for any reason the Conservation Commission or the town would try to dispose of this, the hurdles are enormous. There has to be a municipal vote of the Conservation Commission. There has to be a 2/3 vote at town meeting. And then it goes to the state legislature, where that also requires a 2/3 vote. So it is almost impossible for those of you who might have a concern about this. It's almost impossible to take land out of Article 97 protection. I'll also point out that a lot of this land is either wetland or steep slopes, which really renders it useless for any other purpose. So another reason that it's highly unlikely we would ever try to do anything other than have this as open space under the care and custody of conservation. So we have had some issues with encroachment into this open space. I am proposing that the Conservation Commission accept the care and custody of this land with the provision that all encroachments are corrected before we take this land, and conservation markers be placed every 50 feet along the boundary of this open space. Conservation markers to be paid for by the subdivision, and we will need to see evidence that there are no encroachments before we go forward. So I move to accept the open space on the John Sherman Estates residential development plan as property that will go forward under the care and custody of the Conservation Commission. After encroachments are corrected and markers are set every 50 feet. May I have a second?
Second? Trustee Platt?
Oh, I'm sorry, Bart.
I'm in agreement, but is this something that council should review before we?
Sure.
I mean, we can vote that,
To
we wanna take
accept
it,
it, but send it to town council?
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I amend the motion to, in addition to ensuring encroachments are corrected, markers are placed, and town council has reviewed. All right. Jesse, you're the
Trustee
second?
Platt, second, yep.
Okay.
Trustee Platt, yes.
Bert O'Donnell, yes?
Corey?
Corey Miles, yes.
John
John?
O'Donnell, yes.
And Craig Hanafin, yes. Okay. Next is Mill Pond Lane, tree cutting updates. Is someone here? You can sit right here.
Good Good evening. I'm Dave Lucas from 192 Mill Pond Lane.
So you have had a tree person out there, an arborist,
Yes.
to determine the health of these trees.
Yes. The town hired an arborist. He came out a few weeks ago. So he came out and put caution tape and X's on the ones that he deemed, I forget the wording of it, but diseased or something like that. He originally submitted, I think it was somewhere in the vicinity of 20 trees. And then he submitted that to the town. The town said that would, I think, from what I was explained, that it would be too much money to have all those trees taken out, so they went forward with 6 of them. So there's a few concerns. I wanted to thank the board for getting this. So I know it's been a long process. I came here months ago, so thank you all for hearing us and going forward with this. There's a couple issues that the neighbors had with this. First being when you take those 6 trees out, it was explained to me that the other ones that have X's on them that are deemed diseased has more of a chance to fall down now. So I didn't know the process going forward for those. What we'd have to do I come back to get permission to take those out? Do we have permission to take them out if the town won't pay for them, or what the process is going forward with that?
Yeah, this is a constant struggle, trees on conservation land that need attending to, and it's expensive work.
It is, definitely.
And we have a limited budget, and we have our own budget, but then the town also, DPW has some budget. So the 6 will be taken care of.
Yep, that was explained to me
Okay.
that it was already, I think it was already paid for, if
Okay.
I'm correct.
So there's 14 additional trees that are hazardous. Are they can they strike your house?
They could strike 5 houses.
They can strike 5 houses.
All these trees, you can kind of see them from there, but they're well over 100 feet tall.
Yeah.
And there's a town easement. There was a map that I presented before that was up on the board before, but it's about the size of a street that runs through the 5 properties of town easement conservation land, and that's where all these trees are located.
Okay.
And there were a number of trees that RG Tree Service flagged on that parcel, not just in proximity to Mr. Lucas's house, but also other adjacent neighbors. The parcel is a very unique, odd-shaped parcel, kind of snakes behind all of the houses in the center of Mill Pond Lane.
Do we know what the cost would be for the remaining trees? Did they
So
give you?
that was another thing that I wanted to bring up. So we did have a quote from the same guy. So this tree company that comes in that the town hired, he doesn't have heavy equipment. He climbs the trees and chops them down, and it was explained to me that he would leave them thereafter. So the issue that we'd run into if there wouldn't be enough space to leave these trees there, being how big they are and stuff like that, and how many there are. And then also some of them, the way they are placed now, it's literally on my neighbor's, their property line. So they would almost be laid on their property. So that was a concern that we had. Are we able to remove them, or how does that work? So that was another question that we had going forward. But the quote I got to take out the rest of them was $8,000, and that was without removing them. And that was if we laid
That was just dropping them and.
dropping them, and then they chop them down and then leave, basically.
So if this guy's going to climb them, and I would imagine he's going to go in pieces.
He said about 10 feet. He's going to try the best he can.
10 foot, yeah.
But I mean, as you can see, they're extremely large. And
Yeah.
some of them are really thick as well. So he's going to chop them up and then basically. But that was a question I had. What did you guys recommend? I know they're supposed to be left there, but do we have to leave them in the exact place that they're chopped down, or can we move them to a location where there's more room, basically?
Yeah. Any thoughts? Typically, we like, when trees are going to be taken down, we like to leave like a 5 or a 6 foot stump, because that keeps the root system intact, which
Yep.
has a stabilizing effect. It also provides, dead and damaged trees are extraordinary wildlife habitat.
Yep.
So, this is a pretty narrow
It's
piece,
a very
right?
narrow snaking parcel. There are parts of the parcel where there's some more room, but it would be, I mean, if we're talking about 20 full-size white pines, that'd be quite an amount of real estate to take out on that singular parcel.
So he doesn't have any heavy equipment, so even with 10-foot sections, he doesn't have the ability to move them after they're on the ground.
I didn't ask him that. I know he said something about using rope. So I'm not sure if he's able to move them after, but he's definitely not able to get rid of them. I know
Yeah.
that. But
No, I'm just thinking if he got them down and the pieces that fell onto private property, if he could get them back into the conservation property in some kind of fashion.
hopefully he'd be able to accommodate that, because I know, myself included, but a lot of my neighbors would be if there was these big pines on their, in their
Yeah.
backyard that.
Yeah,
they
right,
can't
no, you
remove,
don't
know.
want that.
No, we have to get it
Off their property, yeah. So we have two problems, how to pay for it and how to manage the cut timber.
Yes.
Anybody have any elegant solutions here?
So the person that you're talking to cut the trees can't move the trees. Doesn't have the ability, the equipment to move the trees.
That's how it was explained to me, I guess, and I've never seen it happen. The trees that we've had removed in the past, a company's come in with a crane and they've removed the tree. And
So-
this guy apparently climbs the tree. This is a guy that the town hired. It had nothing to do with
All right,
us.
so the town hired this person.
town-
So I just, I was just wondering, why can't we hire someone who can both cut the trees and move the trees?
I don't know.
that seems
This
to
is
be-
the guy that they sent out, and he was the arborist originally. He deemed these trees to be dangerous, and then from what I heard, that he was the one that they hired to take them out. So it was nothing that any of us did as the
Oh,
neighbors.
okay, all right, so it's a
on Mill
town.
Pond. This is all to the
Oh,
town.
Mike's got maybe a
He
clarification.
was the arborist recommended by the Trees and Cemetery Department at the DPW, so they went with him to assess the trees. We did send the work order to RG Tree Service for this parcel already. I do not believe they've gotten to this one yet, but it is in the queue.
But the work order only covers the
The 6 trees.
Okay.
Totaling at I don't have the RFP in front of me, but it was about $4,600.
And who's paying for that?
That would come out of the tree budget.
That would come out of
that
our
was set
tree
aside
budget?
at the last town meeting.
Okay, but we've already spent a chunk of that.
We
tree
would
budget.
have between Cornhill Lane, Mill Pond, and Leland Drive. There will be approximately $3,000 left in the tree budget.
Yeah, I know we don't have
So,
8,000 left.
We don't have much left, but this was one of the ones that got put into the queue.
Would RG move the trees as well?
We would have to confirm with him. I do not know that answer at this moment.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you asked.
I just was asking if RG Tree would move the other guy won't move the trees afterwards.
Right.
But would they, and what's the cost comparison to?
So not to interrupt, I apologize.
No, go ahead.
So I've reached out to 2 other companies, just if you guys were to approve us, the neighbors, to be able to take them out. I just wanted to see how much it would cost for this other tree company to come in, because obviously if we were paying for it, there's no way we would have left them there.
Right.
So I was wondering how much that would have cost, but they told me to call them after you guys voted to see,
Okay.
to go forward, because obviously they would come out for nothing if you guys voted not to do it, so.
Are you and the neighbors willing to,
That's something. It's a tough. So I've been in contact with all of them, and it's going to be a long process. One, if the trees stay there, there's no way they're going to do it. But if we have them removed, it's something that we all would discuss. Yes.
okay. I think,
Would it be any easier to access them over your property or your neighbor's property? Would that
So trees we've had taken out in the past, you mean to like put a crane in there?
Yes.
So they used, my neighbor directly behind us, they used his driveway to get to pretty much they could almost get all of the trees, I think, from his driveway. There'd be an issue because there's a septic system in the back of my yard, so they were able to kind of go near the woods to get in, but they'd have to be really tight. But it has been done, but with a big crane, I don't think they'd be able to get a huge crane in there. They'd be able to get a bucket truck probably. But there has been a crane that's been in my neighbor's driveway that would take out, I'd say at least probably 75 to 90% of the trees that we're talking about here.
I am thinking that it may be appropriate for us to talk to the town administrator. You know, we always have this, we finally got a tree budget. It's small. Maybe this would be a good discussion to have with him and say, this is what we're up against. Can we have more money? I doubt it, but it's worth an ask.
Okay.
Just like to know too, since I've been, I forget when it was, I want to say over the summer, the last time I was here to give a presentation, there's been two of these trees have fallen.
Yeah.
In our neighbor's property just because of the storms we've had.
Right,
And I think the first arborist came out, there wasn't as many trees, and because of the storms, there's been more that have deemed rotting or split or however they worded it.
I guess I would be curious to see what an estimate would be from the company the other company you had spoken to.
Okay. I have two lined up, but I didn't include the 6 trees that are already, because obviously.
Right,
the town
they're
paid for.
they're gonna be
but
taken
they-
care of.
But they're gonna be left there as well. So I mean, there's a lot of moving parts. there.
Yeah.
That's,
complicated.
yeah.
I would say when you talk to whatever companies you're talking to, you explain the situation and say, if these trees are left there, can you roll in their removal or movement to an appropriate place?
Okay, so basically not to, because they'll already be taken down just to be able
Right,
to move them.
in case
Or remove them.
they're all over and like, giant pickup sticks and
Okay.
need to be organized. You know, I'm wondering if they can be cut into smaller pieces and chipped, or I don't know.
I don't know. I should have taken a look at this. I didn't think that.
I was out there this summer, but yeah, I didn't go in and look super carefully again.
Yeah.
Because I knew that
I mean, the problem is the town land is very narrow.
it's super
stretch.
narrow.
It is,
Yeah.
yes.
So-
I mean, you literally talk, there's 5 houses that all kind of connect and.
Go around it.
And this conservation land runs right through it. And all of our backyards kind of meet together with the conservation land separating it.
Well, here's what I would recommend, and please, anybody who wants to chime in, that we know what the guy who's gonna climb up and chop them, that's gonna be $8,000. I would ask you to get 1 or 2 estimates from whomever else you are speaking with, including the fact that there may be logs and debris that would require removal. Explain what's going on here. And let us know what that estimate is.
Okay.
And I'm gonna see if I can find money.
Okay.
It's
Thank you.
conservation land and it's threatening your properties. Something has to be resolved.
Thank you.
Okay,
Should I be in contact with Mike?
Yes.
Okay, I know
Yep.
he's been great so far.
yeah, just, get that information. And then at least we have some numbers that I can go forward with and see what we may be able to do.
Thank you.
So can I just to clarify,
Yep.
so we have someone who the town is gonna recommend to take down 6 trees?
Yes.
For $8,000.
No,
Cut them? Oh,
no, the 8,000.
is in the total budget?
The 8,000 is what it would cost to take
The rest of
All
all
of
the
them
other
down.
14 down.
Oh, So what are we paying
The
for the
six are off
six?
the table.
Oh,
I
all
don't
right.
know, that's DPW, right?
Approximately 4,600. I don't
Right.
have the exact quote in my hands, but it was in that ballpark.
Right, I
Okay.
just was trying to figure out if you have one person doing one job for some money.
Yeah.
And then there's a bigger job that needs to be done for some money, is there one person who?
This
can
is,
do the-
this is the same guy that we're talking about. There hasn't
All
been
right.
any other,
Okay, I
you
was
know,
just.
He's just not gonna remove.
yeah, he's just not
Yeah.
gonna remove them.
Well, I guess
Well,
where I was going is to go to, is there someone that we could find?
Right.
For a pot, for the pot of money?
Right,
And maybe
and take 'em.
supplemented money and do a whole
do
job.
the whole
We seem
job.
like we're doing things piecemeal, which,
Yeah,
instead of figuring out this is the job that we want done,
right,
what it would take to do it, and then work it that way as opposed to, well, we got a half job here and maybe another half job here, but we don't have the full job done.
So I'll get, from the two companies that I talked to, I think
Yeah.
one was Newcomb Tree, and then another one was a company that one of the neighbors that's involved here
Okay.
has used in the past, and he actually gave us the first, arborist reporting that
Okay.
came around. So I have them come, well, I have to schedule the appointment tomorrow, but they should be able to come out
Okay.
this week.
yeah, so
And,
if,
so I'll have it priced together, and then also the removal of them to see the difference.
right, okay,
And then we can go forward with that, but hopefully,
so
Get
the
an answer.
six are already in the queue,
They're already in the queue.
okay. I don't wanna, tempted to say hold until we do the whole thing, but I don't wanna upset the apple cart if they can go in there and get the six worst out, and.
yeah, I
whatever.
mean, we're kind of rolling the dice at this point.
Yeah.
The other ones, there's X's, I mean, you can see the lines on some of, that's what there's like 20 trees that have that on it.
Yeah.
Where there's an X, he ran out, there was caution tape on him, but he ran out as he was going around, and then he started using the paint.
Okay. And are these trees diseased, or are they just
That was
hazardous?
the was the wording. I forget what he used.
Okay.
But he basically said they had to be removed. That's why he put X's on them or caution
Okay.
tape. It was diseased or splitting or something like that.
Okay. Well, if you can talk to your companies, convey that to Mike. We'll see what the numbers look like. We'll see what our budget is, and I'll do the best I can to do whatever we need to do to make this right and get those out of there.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I hope to be successful here. It's,
Thank you.
okay. Next, we have 12 Foster Avenue. Removing a concrete footing and replacing with diamond piers. Is there someone here to present this?
Yes, I'm here to represent the project.
I'm sorry, and you are,
My name is Ben Lamora. I'm the general contractor for the project.
okay, would you explain what the project is?
Yeah, so we were doing a kitchen renovation and upgrades on the home, including working out in this area that is a jut out off the end of the building. And once we started work, we realized that the sorry, my camera is upside down, so I'll just turn it off here. Once we started work, we needed to look a little deeper at the existing foundation in order to support a rotted post, and then of course looking at the foundation found that it was just entirely inadequate. It appeared nice from the outside of the patio, but it turns out that was just kind of a beautification skin on what you can see was just patio blocks and bricks. So in order to make this sufficient enough to keep in service, we intend to, or we were asking and hoping, we're trying to think of the least invasive best process here, which would be either using diamond piers, which are concrete footings that sit on top of the surface and then have 4-foot galvanized pipes, 4-foot 1-inch galvanized pipes driven through the top of them to act as kind of like fingers that go down into the earth. Or we looked at using ground screws or helical piles, but there's not really any good machine access to this area that wouldn't be disruptive. Or the other option that we're really comfortable with doing is we could just hand dig 4 sonotubes, which are, the way we're doing those now is we buy a precast plastic form called a footing tube, which has got the 24-inch bell on it, and it's all one piece, and it's not the old cardboard ones, it's a rigid plastic one, so that what happens is as soon as we dig it, we put the plastic form in, and we can backfill immediately before putting in concrete. So we like those because they really minimize disturbance while keeping it steady. You know, if it rains, the cardboard tube doesn't disintegrate or anything. It's just a cleaner process. But given its location, we wanted to flag this and make sure to bring it up for discussion.
Okay, thank you. Comments, Mike?
Yes, this home is located outside of land subject to coast storm flowage.
So what resource area is it, Mike?
It's within buffer zone to Coastal Beach over there. It's kind of like right on the seawall at 12 Foster, at the beginning of Foster Street.
But it's outside of land subject to coastal storm flow?
Yeah, it's up higher than a lot of the other homes. There's a bit of higher elevation there.
Okay. I mean, it would seem like Diamond Piers would be the least intrusive in the resource area. If it's, you know, I'm thinking of scour around sonotubes, but if,
Yeah, and that's what the building commissioner commented on.
Right.
So if it's anything else, I would say it should go back to him.
to him,
So if they're okay with this, Diamond Piers. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
okay. Yep, we're okay with Diamond Piers.
Excellent.
Corey, do you have anything to add, that this is the sort of area you have a lot of knowledge about?
Yeah, Diamond Piers would be fine.
Okay. In that case, I move that we approve as a de minimis activity using Diamond Pier footings at 12 Foster Avenue. May I have a second?
Second, John O'Donnell? Aye, John O'Donnell?
Okay, Craig Hannafin, yes?
Bert O'Donnell, yes?
Jesse Platt, yes?
And,
Corey Miles, yes.
okay, thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
You're
Appreciate
welcome. Okay, 807 Union Street, driveway replacement. Is someone here for this? Nope. Mike, would you like to, I know you have been speaking.
I've been speaking to Mr. Knight. I'm not sure exactly what exemption he wanted to propose to the commission tonight, but from my observations, there's a culvert connecting two wetlands that go under the existing driveway there, and the existing driveway was asphalt at one time. It's now, as you can see from these pictures, in a state of disrepair, but it's a good portion of it is within buffer zone, which is a resource area, and it is also a wetland crossing with the culvert going underneath the road there.
Yeah, he's in a wetland. He's smack dab in a wetland, and it's on both sides of the drive with a culvert connecting. It's very wet, and he needs to file either an NOI or an abbreviated. I'm not sure if an abbreviated is appropriate. I'm not very familiar with an abbreviated NOI, but this needs permitting. NOI, I mean, Bert, do you think, I don't think, can we do an RDA? It's right in the,
I'm not sure that there's been no previous filing on this.
no.
Nothing's been
No.
permitted there in the past, Mike.
Not for this site, no.
Okay.
I have a plot plan from 1994 showing,
There,
the road going through the wetlands?
There is an existing road there. There was an extension of that driveway permitted to like a leaching field in '92, but that was not covering the existing drive there.
And do you know what he is claiming as I believe, is he claiming this is a minor activity?
Yeah, minor activity within a buffer zone, but this is a resource area.
Yeah, it's
Part of it
a
is
resource
resource
area.
area.
I do not believe this is, an exemption is applicable
Right.
here. I believe he needs to file an NOI.
And if anything further comes up, you'd like to discuss the exemption specifically with the commission, he could come at the next hearing, or
He can come and talk and discuss it, or we can discuss it in the office. If he wants to come in and meet with you, I will join you, and
perfect.
we can hash it out, but this needs a permit.
Okay, I will call him and direct him to meet with us or appear in front of the commission again.
Okay. And the next item I'm going to recuse myself on, as I am a butter.
Okay, this is item B6, 1327 Union Street, removal of hazardous trees. Is there anybody here to speak on this? Do you want to cover it, Mike?
Yeah, between, I know Liz has been working with Brad Holmes specifically on this one, but there is a hazard tree within buffer zone, as you can see from the pictures with the yellow arrow here. It's directly over a shed on the property, and it is diseased or dead. Yes.
Okay, and that's really the only one within our jurisdiction. The rest
Yep.
is within the forestry plan, or,
Yes, outside of our jurisdiction.
okay. Any comments from the other commissioners? John? In that case, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the cutting of the hazardous trees. Have I got a second?
Second?
John O'Donnell, roll call.
Yes, John O'Donnell?
Corey?
Corey Miles, yes?
John?
John O'Donnell, yes.
Jesse Platt, yes?
Bert O'Donnell, yes. Greg out there, can you give it away?
That concludes our business items. Now, our public hearings. First up is the Recreational Trails Committee. Ned, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Ned Bangs, 210 Woodlawn Circle, and chairperson of the Recreation Trails Committee. So tonight is a follow-up of a walk that we had on January 22nd with Craig and Bert, myself, and Greg Guimond on 172 South River Street, looking at the trees and the proposed path. And it was determined that there were enough trees that we should have a scenic road hearing with the planning board, and that is scheduled for February 26th.
Okay. So everything else is as is, nothing has happened.
Nothing has happened
Next,
since that walk, and
Okay.
nothing will happen until after that meeting. on the
So
26th.
I'm gonna continue you to, I believe it's March 5th? Let me get that date. March 6th.
Okay.
and you can come in and give us an update on how that went and
Go
move
from there.
forward.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. I move that we continue the RDA 23-12 to the March 6th meeting. May I have a second?
Jesse Platt, second.
Roll call. Jesse?
Platt, yes.
Bert O'Donnell, yes?
John O'Donnell, yes?
Corey Miles, yes.
Craig Hannafin, yes. Okay. Next is 0 Main Street. Mr. Morse is here, and Vice Chair O'Donnell is the hearing officer. This is a continued hearing.
Okay, we left off with discussion about the third-party review. Mike, would you like to give us a brief update on the meetings that we had with
Yes,
both
so,
Bills and Thomas and Epsilon?
So since our last public hearing, we had teleconferences with Beals and Thomas and Epsilon to clarify the scope, clarify the size of the two parcels. After which Beals and Thomas revised their quote, and Epsilon has retracted their bid, deeming it too close to a peer review.
So we're at a point now that I believe the commission can vote whether or not we want to go with the Beals and Thomas proposal.
Yes.
Do you have any discussion on that, Craig?
I think Greg should know what the Beals and Thomas proposal amount is.
Okay.
Just, I mean, you're entitled to know that, so,
It's, they updated their proposal based on further clarification, and it's 15,500. We went over all the things that we expected them to review, and I believe they have a clear idea of what's required. And it's what we need to make a proper decision on the delineation. And Epsilon declined to participate, so we went out to three people, three firms, and only one accepted to bid. Commissioners, do you want to have discussion on whether or not you find this acceptable?
Well, I mean, I guess since the meetings, last meetings, I've reviewed the request for proposal. I looked at the proposal. The proposal is consistent with the request for proposal. And the number is what the number is. So that we only have one proposal to vote on if we want the work done.
Right.
Corey, did you have any comments?
I'd like to see something more competitive in price. I'm not sure why they revised their number.
the scope was expanded.
Okay.
Being that I think we didn't include both parcels in the original proposal, so it went from 13 acres up to 18 acres.
Right.
Correct. The original RFP had an error which accounted for the original gap in the quotes. Epsilon only was taking into account the front parcel. They were not looking at it in its entirety. So their number was not good anyway, and we invited them to come back with the whole project, and they declined.
The applicant would like to close this meeting immediately. We do not agree to any continuance of this public hearing. We would like to close this tonight. You have the information you need. Thank you.
I would say we don't have the information we need.
We have provided you with plans stamped by a professional engineer and a registered land surveyor. We've provided you with DEP BVW data sheets prepared by a registered professional wetland scientist. We submitted this in July. We submitted everything in a timely fashion. You have 21 days to review this application. It's been in excess of 7 months at this point. We had an issue with the original Beals and Thomas proposal. We were led to believe that you were going to solicit another proposal. I had reached out to you back in November and solicited on your behalf 3 proposals from very qualified consultants that were going to do work out here. You've disregarded all of those. $15,000 for a project like this, in my over 20 years of experience doing this work, is extremely high. We're not acquiescing that. We will absolutely appeal to the DEP and have the DEP come out and perform a site visit. $15,000. We at the last meeting, I expressed my concerns to you. I thought we were going to work on this together. You've come back now with a proposal that's even more money. I emailed both you, Chairman, and Mr. Seeley again on January 29th asking if there were any updates. Again, I got 0 response. I've been in front of this commission now 5 times for this project. You said you were going to do a site visit. We still haven't even done a site visit. I wanted to work with you guys and do this and do a wetland review together, but it doesn't appear that the commission is doing that. A proposal of $15,000 doesn't appear that. We'll move forward with the DEP. Please close this hearing immediately.
We're back where we were last time. I'm not sure. What I expected to do, Greg, was have a vote of the commission whether or not we would accept this, and then come back to you and ask you if you would accept it. If you would not accept it, we could either vote to deny, or we could vote for you to, you could withdraw without prejudice. And you understand now what we want for a delineation. If you can find somebody that could do the same work for the same quality, meet all the same expectations, that would be up to you.
I provided 3 proposals to the Conservation Commission office from firms that are qualified to do this work. I sent those in to the chairman and to the conservation agent previously. They were all in the range of $2,000 to $3,500. $15,000 is not an acceptable number. This delineation cost us approximately $2,000 to have the site delineated in the first place. If you make a vote to move forward with that peer review, I can tell you right now it is not accepted on behalf of the applicant.
May I respond, Bert?
Yes.
The firms that you brought to us at much lower prices were not for a new delineation. They were for a peer review of your second of 2 delineations, which we deemed insufficient. We didn't need a peer review of that. We need to start over. We're talking apples and oranges. So if you want to close,
We would like to close.
Make a motion to close the hearing, and
we will need to provide our reasoning.
well, we can close the hearing, but then do we vote to, what is the outcome of the hearing?
Well, if we close the hearing and Greg has told us this is totally unacceptable, I would say we deny. Close and deny.
Okay. Make a motion to close the hearing and deny the NRAD. Have I got a second?
Second, Jesse Platt?
Roll call vote.
John O'Donnell, aye.
Craig?
Craig Hannafin, yes?
Jesse
Jesse?
Platt, yes.
Corey?
Corey Miles, yes.
And Bert O'Donnell, yes. You.
Thank you. We'll see you at the appeal.
Okay, now we are on 19 Brighton Street. This is a new hearing. I will read the legal ad. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, February 7th, 2024, to consider the notice of intent for 19 Brighton Street. And the hearing officer is Vice Chair O'Donnell.
Thank you. Mike, can you confirm taxes, abutters, and DEP number?
Taxes, abutters, fees have been met. The DEP number is 3072.
Okay, thank you. Rick?
Good evening, how are you? Richard Savant with Stenbeck and Taylor. This is Arthur Hale, who's
Gilbert's
contract.
Construction.
So yes, we have a existing home here that we're proposing to demolish and build a new home, a flood compliant home on driven wood piles, elevated on those piles. The property is located in an AE9 flood zone. It's also located in the Barrier Beach, hence the driven wood piles. Essentially, that's the project, knockdown and reconstruction. We do have a slight increase in impervious coverage with the house is slightly larger than the existing home. But as we, as you know, with the elevation of the house, we're creating an additional 1,275 square feet of pervious area under the home, which will remain in that state. It's going to be open, free flow of water beneath the home, and 603 square foot increase just in the structure, but I think we'll more than make up for that with the pervious area under the home. Essentially, that's really it. The project will go before the zoning board. It has a floodplain permit is in process. Mr. Hale has been working with Andrew on. That's essentially what we're hoping to do. Yep, and historical for the removal of the existing structure has been approved also. Thank you.
Okay. Mike, your comments?
Yes, this would be a raise and rebuild. The asphalt driveway would remain roughly in the same position, just a slight modification with the new staircase off the back and expansion of the single-family home. Other than the single-family home being raised and rebuilt, the rest of the site will essentially remain the same. Wooden piles will allow for flowage under the home. It would be a slight increase, so the home will be elevated, not to a great extent, but it will be at the minimum of 10.
Very good. And within the conditions, we'll request the elevation certificate?
Yes, that's right. I can read off the suggested special conditions if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. General conditions 1 through 18, prior to construction conditions 5 and 2, during construction condition 11, after construction condition 1, erosion control condition 1, and the language about the elevation certificate regarding design flood elevation. For the
My only question, Rick, is under the house, what's the proposed material?
Really hasn't been discussed. It will be a pervious material. I don't know if we're going to do stone under there, Art, or
It's probably just gonna be just
grass.
sandstone.
Because
Because when we remove the foundation, we'll bring it in with the beach sand or whatever we have to
Okay,
level
but-
it off.
But all the existing foundation, concrete,
It's all gonna go.
blocks, everything
It's
comes
gonna
out?
go.
Okay.
Bert,
Yeah,
If you don't mind, I'd like to read a section of the building commissioner's comments. The new home will be required to meet the requirements for flood restraint construction in a coastal dune, which requires that the bottom of the lowest horizontal structural member be located above design flood elevation 10 NAVD 1988, or at least 2 feet above the highest adjacent grade as identified on the elevation certificate, whichever is higher. So I didn't know if the house was planned to meet those elevation requirements.
Yes, that lowest supporting member will be at elevation, will certainly meet all the flood, make it flood compliant. Being on the barrier beach, it requires that additional 2 foot of clear underneath, is what you're referencing, Mike?
Yeah.
And if we're considering it a dune, then yes, we'll have, that lowest beam will have to be set at 10 minimum. Yep, that's correct. We'll have to talk about that, all right.
I have no further questions. Other commissioners?
I have
From me.
no issues.
No issues? Comments from the public? I see none. I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing and issue special conditions. Can I get a second?
Second,
Roll call vote.
John O'Donnell, yes?
Greg?
Craig Hanafin, yes?
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jesse Platt, yes.
And Corey?
Corey Miles, yes?
Thank you. It's unanimous, Mike.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you. Okay, next up, we have an amended open order. I'll read the legal ad. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, February 7th, 2024, to consider the request for amended order of conditions for 3 Trounce Island. And the hearing officer is Commissioner Platt.
All right. Mike, all administrative requirements have been met?
Yes.
Okay. And is there someone here you are here to present the work? Okay.
Here, yes, hello.
Hello. We have your name?
My name is Nicholas Sling from Grady Consulting. I'm here on behalf of the McLaughlin residents for number 3 Charles Island. Not sure if you folks remember this one. We were before you, I think it was 2 years ago at this point, before this project began. They are in the process of starting construction recently. To refresh your memory, they originally had a dwelling that actually overreached into the coastal bank resource area. And we had gotten approval from you folks to pull that back off of the resource area and reset it with a small addition further back into the lot and uphill a ways. Why we're here today is they decided that they would like to see if you folks would permit them to put pool in their backyard. We've colored it to represent only the new work to make that stand out a little bit for you. The brown would be the patio area that surrounds the pool, and the blue, the pool itself. There is a green fence line that goes right around the edge of the patio, and the other green hatched areas are the planting areas that were approved with the last filing. The one in the center that's more rectangular was just to symbolize that they were going to revegetate the area where the existing house currently sat. We have managed to maintain a size pool that allows even grading to maintain outside of the flood area. So there's going to be no real change to the lot. Nothing that you would even really notice, quite frankly. And it is a little bit closer to the resource area compared to where the new house is going, but it is still almost entirely on the other side of where the house used to be.
Okay. Thank you. Mike, do you have any comments or conditions on
Yes,
this?
I filed for an additional information request. Thank you for providing that. To also have the planting plans added to added to the site plan for the amended order of conditions. As you can see, there's a bit of overlap between the replanting area with native grasses and the pool area. It looks like some square footage will be lost there. That should probably be addressed by the commission. My suggestion.
Okay. And then also the erosion controls that were out there.
Yes, I have thank you for bringing that up. The erosion controls on site were lacking. As you can see here, they're non-existent or have been in a state of disrepair in a couple areas on site. I would suggest either switching to straw bales or towing in that silt fence with straw bales or a silt sock.
I think they would be amenable to either one of those. Which would you prefer?
The hay bales would definitely be they're a lot larger and way more, so they would do a better job of towing in that silt
Yeah,
fence,
hold it down.
especially where you might have high winds.
What is being used for the patio area? Is it concrete? Is it pervious pavers? What's being used?
I actually don't know the answer to that one. I would presume that they would probably go with concrete because it's around a pool. A lot of times the pervious pavers shift a little bit over time.
Right.
Can cause a bit of a safety hazard around a pool especially. But I don't honestly know the answer to that question.
Do you know what type of fencing they're using?
I believe they use the typical, like the black metal pool fencing, something that they want to, actually, I know that's what they're gonna have to use, because this was at the recent North River Commission hearing, and they want to make sure that the pool kind of recedes into the landscape. So
Okay.
it will be one of those typical black metal fences.
Okay. All right, so yeah, the North River Commission didn't have any issues with that.
That hearing is not closed, they wanted some more information on the plan, but
Oh, okay.
We have not changed the design for anything, they had no qualms with the design.
Okay. I guess my only concern is just having the pool there and whether that is an improvement to the actual property area. You know, we're moving the house back, which is great. I went out to the site and took a look at it. You know, then you're putting an additional structure in there, kind of getting close to that area. But, you know, I know this is pre-disturbed area. You're within the 25-foot setback. I don't know if there might be a possibility to introduce some more plantings to kind of offset that. I don't know if the applicant would be amenable to that. I don't know if commissioners, if you guys have any additional comments.
I have a question, question and a comment. Where is the pool equipment going to be?
I don't have an answer to that one either. I would imagine they would put it on the uphill side, given they understand they need to stay away from the edge of the water as much as possible. The decking is going to be elevated adjacent to it, so I think it's likely that it would end up underneath the decking area there.
Okay. And my comment, and I don't know how to reconcile this. This entire property is in the 200-foot riverfront area and it's in the 100-foot coastal bank area. Now, I know it's pre-disturbed and you've moved the structure back, but I'm not entirely conversant with the regs to be able to look at this and say, yeah, okay, that's fine. I think I need more information. And, you know, maybe, Bert, do you have comments?
Well, I'm trying to recall the original hearing.
Yeah, me too.
You know, the fact that we shifted back, that got most of the structure out of the 100-foot. This puts quite a bit back in.
kind of want to know how it's going to affect that coastal bank resource area. Yeah, I have the,
Yeah, right now, I think this is the closest structure of everything out there to the bank. You know, if you looked at all the houses, and it's, you know, the bank is just about due northeast. It's,
yeah, it's close.
The vegetation along the coastal bank line is rather plentiful, but I'm sure they would be
Established.
open to adding more along that to kind of mitigate any kind of runoff that might be associated with the addition of the pool area.
And how does the pool count with impervious? I assume that's
I counted the pool as
the pool as impervious. Thank you.
and the patio area around it.
yes, everything new is impervious as I counted it. Yes, in my calculations.
Well, do we have any comments from the public? Okay.
Well, we lost some of the planting plan.
We lost some of the planting plan, and we lost some of the benefit of bringing the house back. We're, you know, back into overlapping where the original structure was.
It may be beneficial to calculate the area of the planting plan that is going to be taken up by the proposed pool. Getting a concrete number for that square footage.
And
I just want to make sure that we're all on the same understanding. It does say native grasses on there, but that is all lawn area. They were going to plant a native species of lawn grass, not like beach grass, for example. Is that? I'm not sure if we're all on the same understanding on that one. I
So
do want to
that-
make sure that that is
That
all.
would have been lawn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for
Okay.
clarifying that. I was envisioning something different.
and then, what did we have going in those approved planting areas? Is that gonna be shrubs or?
I believe I have the old plan with me. Let's see if I can find that for you quickly.
Yeah, I'm
I have the list here. It's a small copy. I can read them off if you like. Or I can pass this around if you want to take a look at it yourself.
just, if you can just read them off, that's.
Sure, sure. They would be planting 3 eastern red cedar trees, 7 northern bayberries, 4 beach plums, 21 Virginia rose bushes, 18 sweet ferns, and about 2,800 square feet of wildlife mix and seasonal grasses to fill up those 2 areas you see on the plan there. If you'd like to see the layout, I'm still happy to pass this.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you have it? Okay.
So it seemed like to be consistent, if we required that much planting for moving the house back
Right.
that much before, we probably want something similar for this, at least.
I would think so.
Now, would we need a revised site plan then?
Well, I think we have a couple of questions. What is the, to confirm,
The square footage?
what is the square footage? Where is the pool equipment? Is it an is it going to be an impervious surface around the pool? I, for my own personal assurance, I would like to review our 200-foot and the 100-foot coastal bank
Yeah.
Right, okay.
delineations. And, you know, maybe town council needs to chime in, or, because it seems sort of, there are ambiguities here.
I agree. I'd rather get those clarified before we make a decision, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So well, okay. Those are my comments.
Okay, so we are going to, correct me if I'm wrong here, but then we're looking to continue this, right?
Yes.
All right, so I vote to close the hearing and continue to, let's say do you think would enough time to do the next,
At the next meeting, I think so,
yeah,
which is
The 21st.
February 21.
February 21st. So we're gonna confirm the square footage of the planting area that's being covered now by the proposed pool. And then also to confirm where the pool equipment's going to go, and then what type of patio is gonna be installed, and whether that's pervious or impervious.
And the hay bales.
And the erosion controls as well.
Okay.
So do you need a pervious, impervious table?
We
On
do
this.
have,
On a-
there's at the top,
It runs
there
across
off
the
the-
top.
This one is a little bit complicated in that regard, simply
Okay.
because the North River is not under DEP protection in that area, whereas it does fall under your bylaws.
Oh, I didn't
So that's why there's going to be a couple of different labels up top, as far as
But
that
this
area goes.
includes the pool, the pool and the
It does.
patio around, okay. I had it folded over, sorry.
Do we want to ask for proposed additional plantings, or should we?
I think so. If you can, you're gonna calculate the square footage, and if you can have a proposal to, you know, expand the already approved planting
do that.
areas.
Yep.
okay. All right, do I have a second?
Second,
All right, roll call John O'Donnell.
Yes, John O'Donnell?
Craig?
Craig Hannafin, yes?
Bert O'Donnell, yes?
Jesse Platt, yes? Corey?
Cory Miles, yes?
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Continue to February 21st. Okay. Now we are on another new hearing. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, February 7th, 2024, to consider the notice of intent filed by Patrick and Kristen Haddigan at 110 Riverside Circle. And the hearing officer is, once again, Commissioner Platt.
All right. Mike, abutters, taxes and fees, all set?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, and this property's within the riverfront area and buffer zone resource areas, and looks like you guys are here to present again.
You're not getting rid of me that easily. I do have Patrick here with me to assist. This one is somewhat similar. The riverfront area is nearby. However, they're looking to expand their deck, square it off in the back, and rework some of the foundation underneath. We do have erosion control proposed as the blue line that goes around the outside, and it's basically just on the outside, left-hand side of their driveway area there, and curls around the back to keep all the work within a reasonable distance from the wetland area there. This one's quite a bit more straightforward than the other one, but happy to answer any questions that you do have.
Okay, thank you. I did go out to the site as well, met you.
Thank you very much.
Mike, do you have any comments on this one, any conditions?
I would suggest these following special conditions: general conditions 1 through 18, prior to construction condition 5 and 2, during construction condition 11, after construction condition 1, and erosion control condition 1. I did notice that there was a jacuzzi and small patio area partially within the 25-foot buffer zone. That looks like it's been there for quite some time, and is also in pre-disturbed lawn area. And the spacing between the pavers there appeared to be adequate to allow for the passage of water.
I do know that patio and jacuzzi will be removed.
Okay.
So they're going to be removing that, which is great. So like I said, I went out to the site. This seems pretty straightforward. It's a pre-disturbed area within the 25-foot setback. Minimal additional disturbance on this one. Removal of the patio is an improvement. Are there going to be any trees or any vegetation that's going to be removed from the area during the work?
Negative. Everything that's there now will stay there.
Okay.
And like you said, the jacuzzi will be removed. The pavers, the pervious pavers will be removed. And I believe there's just gravel underneath that.
Okay.
It'll either become grass or remain gravel, so.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any comments?
I guess my only question is, have you gone to the North River Commission? Do you need to go to the North River Commission?
We have an appointment with them.
Okay.
We were doing this one. We've done ZBA and we did pass.
Right, I know you're good here. I
Yep.
just want to make sure you check that box.
Yes, thank you.
Is there anyone from the public or on Zoom that has any comments? Okay. All right. Well, I move to vote to close the hearing and issue order of conditions with special conditions that Mike mentioned. Can I get a second?
Second, John O'Donnell?
Craig?
I'm sorry, Craig Hannafin, yes.
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Corey?
Cory Miles, yes.
Jesse Platt, yes.
John O'Donnell, yes.
All right. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to go.
Thank you, board. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for what you do.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, 253 Foster Ave. This is another new hearing. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, February 7th, 2024, to consider the notice of intent filed for 253 Foster Ave. The hearing officer is Commissioner O'Donnell.
Okay, Michael, we're all set with taxes about our DEP number?
Yes.
Okay. I also, from Andrew's notes, saw that there is an active floodplain permit for this property.
Yes.
Okay. Rick, you want to give us an overview?
Yeah, Rick Savant with Stenbeck and Taylor. Generally, this is a deck replacement project on a residential dwelling. The homeowners would desire to replace the existing deck that was there within the same footprint. The new deck is proposed to be on diamond piers. It's also proposed to match the existing floor level of the house. There'll be a slight gap between, it'll be detached from the house, there'll be a slight 3-inch gap between the house and the deck, so it won't be formally connected. It is in an AL3 flood zone. It's also located in a barrier beach and dune area. Again, we're proposing to match the new with the old deck height and maintain the floor level from the existing home onto the new level of the deck. And that's what they're hoping to do on this project.
Okay. I was out at the site on Monday, I believe, yeah, Monday. It's gonna have 10 diamond pier footings, which is pretty extensive. I think the, trying to remember, the deck is about 27 feet. Basically, it follows the length of the house.
Generally, yes.
So, structurally independent, so I guess the question, the surface, the ground surface is pretty much just sand.
Yes.
The sandy soil. Andrew, the building commissioner, who's also the floodplain administrator, said that there's no problems, with the project. The question that I had, that I raised is, there's rules and regulations, and then there's guidance, that, typically the commission follows. And one of the guidelines, and it's a guideline, not a hard, fast rule and regulation, that the structure should have 2-foot clearance under the deck, and this has 1-foot clearance. And when you see the backyard, you see the house, and how the house, the deck would butt up against the house. You can see how 2-foot clearance would not be possible. But I also, the soil is basically just sandy. It's the deck is at the back of the house. It's not extending, out on either side of the house, and the point of the elevation is so that storm water can, pass, freely underneath the structure. So I did have questions about the 2-foot clearance versus the 1-foot clearance. I talked to, Mike about it, and, I respect Andrews, who's the building commissioner and the floodplain administrator's comment that the house itself is not floodproof. This deck will be elevated, but he had no issues with the project. So I went back and forth, and I guess I'd like to hear, I don't know if there's anyone in the audience or on Zoom that has any comments, but I'd like to hear any commissioners' questions or comments about the 1-foot clearance versus the 2-foot clearance. Mike?
Yes. There was a property directly across the street, the Hubbard property, SE 423027. That one was conditioned with a 2-foot gap. It would be consistent for the commission to condition something like that. However, as John says, it's a CZM guideline and not a building regulation.
What makes it not possible to do that? You mentioned it was,
Well, if you were to elevate the deck 2 feet,
Yeah.
the deck would be higher than the threshold of the door. So
Right.
that's why
Got it.
that wouldn't make sense. The soil is just basically pure sand. There's a driveway, I guess, on both sides of the house. I think maybe the driveway to the left, I think, maybe belongs to the house. The driveway to the right belongs to the neighbors, I'm guessing.
Shared possibly, yep.
So I was, it's this whole thing about guidelines versus, hard, fast rules. And I think when I thought about it, I talked to Mike about it, the house across the street, I think, was a major, complete structural
oh, okay.
redo. Is that correct, Mike? It wasn't just the addition of a deck, or?
It
I
was
wasn't
the
around for that.
addition of a deck, but there were other structures that went onto that
On
deck,
top,
such
yeah.
as an outdoor shower, and it was right, essentially on the other side of the beach
Yeah,
wall
this
there. Across the
property
street.
is across the road, along the seawall,
Yes.
along the beach, so. So as I thought about it, and my inclination is to is to approve with just the 1-foot clearance. But I just felt I needed to, bring it up. And I think that's based on, Andrew's guidance, as well as, what I observed on the property, and just the basic, the soil is just pure sand on all sides. There's no vegetation or anything like that, so.
I have a question for
Okay.
Rick.
Yes.
Did they consider putting pervious pavers down instead of a deck?
They had the need to replace the deck that was there.
Right.
Which was in disrepair. So their thought all along was just to replace the
replace
new
it.
with the old. So the pen had deck there for a number of years, and
Yeah.
it needed to be redone. I don't believe so. I think the project for them was just, this deck needs to be made safe and stronger and rebuilt. So I don't believe so.
I will say that, yes, this is coastal dune, but it's extremely degraded coastal dune. And as you point out, the structure is completely behind the house, which is, it's not sticking out on the side when a flood comes through or something.
Yeah.
And it's no increase in size, it's the same size.
No, that's correct. And there will be
And
clearance
it's a
below it to
foot
allow-
off the ground.
Yes.
And it's
And,
not a substantial improvement.
No.
No.
No. Right. If it were an addition to the home, let's say, they could do a non-substantial improved addition on the back. It could match the floor levels and things of that nature with that. But there will be clearance below it.
She has-
I'm sorry, Corey, do you have any comments or questions?
I think that it's probably fine, because it's just replacing what's already there with something new. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Okay, then if there are no other questions or comments, Mike, do you have any special?
Did you ask for public comment?
I think I did ask
You
if
did.
there's anybody here.
Okay,
on
I'm
the
sorry.
Zoom. I think I did, yeah, thanks. Michael?
I would suggest the following special conditions, general conditions 1 through 18, prior to construction condition 5 and 2, during construction condition 11, after construction condition 1, and erosion control condition 1. And
Okay.
leaving out the language regarding the 2-foot clearance on the from the commission's decision.
All right, so in recognition of the special conditions, I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing and conduct a vote to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Whoop,
Oh, sorry, what?
one at a time.
I'm sorry, all in favor, one at a time. Corey?
Corey Miles, yes.
John O'Donnell, yes?
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jesse Platt, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
Excellent, thank you very much.
all right, thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
And our last hearing is also a new one. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, February 7th, 2024, to consider the notice of intent filed for 43 Union Street. And the hearing officer is Vice Chair O'Donnell.
Thank you. Mike, can you confirm administrative?
Yes, taxes, fees, abutters, and DEP number have been issued.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you once again. I'm Rick Savant with Stenbeck and Taylor, and this is the homeowner here to assist. So essentially, we have a single-family expansion here. We're a growing family. We're looking to put an addition on the back of this existing home. As you can see, there's there's a farm property with some wetland areas, BVW, that surround the property. The addition is proposed off the rear of the home. It is working basically between the 75 and the 100-foot buffer. The position of the addition necessitates relocating the existing septic tank and pump chamber to accommodate the addition. That septic tank and pump chamber will be relocated outside of the 100-foot buffer and just put in a new area outside the new deck. The addition is approximately 30 by 16 and a half with a, call it 20 by 21 deck off the side. The tanks will be moved out to accommodate that also. So that's the, generally what we're here tonight for is this proposed addition, which we need to expand on the home. And that's what we're hoping to do. I know I talked to Mike about some other things that the commission might want to discuss on the property. I don't know if you've had a chance to go out and take a look around out there, but I'll do my best to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you. Mike, your comments?
Yes, so, what stood out to me on this property was that there is a, concrete slab for a shed placed, partially within the 25-foot buffer zone, towards the right of the driveway there. The proposed addition, as Rick said, would necessitate the relocation of some septic equipment there on the property. There was two white pines just off of the proposed addition there that were cut somewhat recently. It's possible that those were needed for the proposed addition to make room for it. Aside from that, I will leave it to you, Bart.
Okay. First question, Rick. Have the septic changes been reviewed by Board of Health? Any issues there?
Yes, they have. We haven't gotten a formal approval, but it's certainly been submitted to the Board of Health, and we have worked with them about the bedrooms and so forth. So if it hasn't been issued, it's in process, but there wasn't any issues with it. Or, yes.
Okay, good. Basically, as far as what's in front of us with the addition and the septic, that all looks good to me. Mike, how about your comments on the wetland lines? Did you take a look at those?
Yes, the wetland lines appear accurate on the site. Sorry, I'm getting to. Yes, they appeared accurate. The areas where the shed is within the 25-foot buffer zone to that, that will likely need to be addressed, as that shed was not permitted, nor a structure is permitted to be within the 25-foot buffer zone to a wetland.
Okay, and I did visit up there on Monday. Took a good look around. So the shed is relatively new. I think building commissioner comment said it is permitted now. There was a building permit.
I believe that is in process, awaiting tonight's, but there has been applications made for a building permit. That's correct.
Okay, so if that had been in front of us, we would have asked that be located outside of the 25-foot buffer. I realize that's a new building. If it does get permitted, okay, as far as the building permit, building department, I would suggest that maybe we ask for some mitigation to allow that to be where it is. And then, this is a little bit tricky because, I understand there's been a farm there for a long time. A lot of this has been, existing structure and existing things, but, we still need to, respect the wetlands in particular. What I'd like to throw out to the other commissioners, that in return for keeping the shed in the position it's in, is that within the 3 years that you have the conditions for the addition, that you work to relocate the the coops and garden and stuff, outside of the 25-foot buffer zone. And then, any of the other, I realize over the years, you're probably gonna move pens and corrals and everything around, but, respect the 25-foot buffer and anything that happens with that. There's also, there's a lot of old junk and debris out behind the chicken coop, some old stall mats and that kind of stuff. If we could get that removed from that 25-foot buffer. Other commissioners have any suggestions, comments?
I just have a question on the shed, on here, and I'm sorry, I'm not sure. Around where it says shed, is
Yeah.
that a patio or around?
Concrete pad.
Yeah, it's concrete.
Yeah, the shed.
concrete.
Yep, it is.
Because that's what's really mostly sitting in that 25.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, there's obviously still shed in there,
Right,
but
right.
I didn't know if maybe that could be changed to,
That's,
does it not even,
it's brand new concrete.
It's structural to the shed, really.
gotcha.
I think we
I
can.
did not go out and take a look
I
at it. so.
think we can achieve what we want without moving that, but
Okay.
if,
Yeah, the chicken coop is right
Yeah,
on almost on the wetland line. I agree with Bert that if I would be willing to compromise and leave the slab there, if over the course of the permit, you can pull the other things out.
with the garden and the coop, those are the two structures that we're
Yeah,
looking at.
yeah, that and any materials that are stored.
Debris out
Actually,
there.
There's lumber piles, and, some old, some new. Get those out, and then, in the future, this central wetland area running through the middle of the lot, I think that shows on the maps as being, human altered areas. And it's been that way for some time. I would just suggest that no, you don't put any fencing or corrals or anything within those areas or the buffer zone to it, the 25-foot.
yeah, the round corral is over the 25-foot line, so if you could, move that back or just try to stay away from the 25.
The big paddock or riding area down below, I shows up in your maps. I'm okay with that, but, you can expand that into the wetlands or,
Respect the existing fence line that's there on that
Yeah.
existing corral. And are we okay? I know the chair mentioned that round corral being positioned. As long as there's no expansion of that, we can leave those where they are? Or are we talking about,
yeah, I think that's put together with just fence panels, isn't it?
Right.
It
Correct.
could-
It's not
it
in the ground.
It could
Yeah.
move a
Right.
little bit.
so that's something you'd like to see
If,
over,
it's portable, if you could come back a little bit
Sure.
just to get off that 25-foot.
Mike, is this about what you had in mind for this?
Yes, I would also inquire if the commission would like to place conservation markers around, as that wetland does cross the middle of this property and has been historically mowed, as Bert said, human altered. It could be beneficial to have some conservation markers around the tree line there to prevent any further mowing or encroachment or dumping of materials there.
Okay, so that would approximately follow the tree line?
Yeah, approximately.
So we're talking about coming across here, tree line here, and with this wetland crossing.
Make the condition for conservation markers,
I think that's,
50-foot intervals is determined by the conservation administrator?
Yeah.
Would that be acceptable?
I'm sorry, but I missed that description of the markers.
Put the conservation markers at 50-foot intervals, approximately along the
Yep.
tree line,
Yep,
as determined by the conservation
Sure.
administrator.
absolutely. On the north and south side of that
Yeah,
middle wetland area.
yeah, the middle.
Along the full length of it?
That middle area, that's been previously disturbed.
Yes.
But avoid any fencing or anything within that area.
Okay.
I was thinking this area here, I'll circle it on the screen with my cursor, but,
Yep,
this
yep.
area
Yep,
in particular.
yep. So just that side, Mike. Okay?
Your conditions will be a site visit before work starts anyway, right?
Yes, a pre-construction meeting will be part of that.
So you could walk it with the owners then and see.
Okay, with the
Yes.
Coop. We're talking about over the 3 years. Put another coop out front.
I think that's all I have. Any further comments from commissioners?
A couple of markers.
I have a further question, Commissioner O'Donnell.
Yeah.
Should we have the 50-foot increments reflected on a revised site plan for the conservation markers?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem doing it. I mean, I can do that immediately.
Set for this Friday?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So that would be the only thing in addition to regular conditions, right, Mike?
Yes. The general conditions 1 through 18, prior to construction, condition 5 and 2, during construction, condition 11, after construction, condition 1, erosion control, condition 1, perpetual condition 1, option for the conservation markers at 50-foot increments. And was an option for wetland replication with 2 years monitoring, but it seems like the commission would be satisfied with pushing those structures away from the wetlands in the area of the shed.
Yes. Okay, I'd like to open it up for any comments, public. I see none. In that case, I'd like to close the hearing and issue special conditions. Have I got a second?
Second.
Second is Craig Hannafin. Roll call vote. John?
John O'Donnell, yes?
Craig?
Craig Hannafin, yes?
Jesse?
Jesse Platt, yes?
Corey Miles, yes?
Thank you, Corey. And Bert O'Donnell, yes. It's unanimous. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you
you.
very much for working
I
with us.
like your goats. They alpine?
They're cute, huh?
What kind are they? Are they
Oh,
alpine?
I don't know. That's more a question for my husband, but
Yeah.
the kids like them, so
I like your chickens.
maybe they'll get a new home. So
Yeah, that's a good one, too.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your help with this plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our hearings. Now we have some COCs and extensions. The first being SE 422199, 1 Atlantic Avenue. I move that we table this as we have no additional update on this situation. May I have a second?
Second, Jesse Platt?
Jesse?
Jesse Platt, yes?
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Craig Hannafin, yes?
John O'Donnell, yes.
And
Corey Miles, yes.
okay. Next is SE 422281, 249 Bay Avenue. Has this permit really been in existence since 2010?
Yes. Judging from the narrative here, I believe so. I can,
Why do we have a 14-year-old permit that still needs to be extended?
it was quite the project over there.
Go ahead.
At the point of 249 Bay Avenue. I can pull some more information.
Oh, is that the big place at the very end?
Yeah, it's the big place at the very end. They had to drive piles for that site. They want to do some maintenance dredging off the end of the dock. They did some vegetative replication at the park at the end of Bay Ave there.
Okay.
It's a pretty complex
Is
site.
this the place that did a big swimming pool, or? No, that was another one.
It's all on piles.
It's all in piles. Okay, I mean, I just have never seen anything 14 years old that needs an extension, but I'm game. So I move that we issue a 3-year extension for SE 42-2281. May I have a second?
John O'Donnell, second. John O'Donnell, yes?
Craig Hanafin, yes?
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jesse Platt, yes.
Corey Miles, yes.
Okay. SE 42-2565, 20 Wilson Road. This appears to be in good order. So I move that we vote to issue a certificate of compliance. A second, please.
Second, Jesse Platt.
John?
O'Donnell, yes?
Craig Hanafin, yes?
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jesse Platt, yes.
Corey Miles, yes.
Okay. SE 42-2909, this is another extension.
So they need to meet this.
Okay, it doesn't have a floodplain permit, it doesn't have a ZBA permit. But I move that we issue a 3-year extension for SE 42-2909. Second,
John O'Donnell, second. John O'Donnell, yes?
Craig Hanafin, yes?
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jesse Platt, yes.
Corey Miles, yes.
Okay. 162 Bay Avenue, we still have no updates on this, so I vote to table this. May I have a second?
Second, Jesse Platt.
Jesse?
Jesse Platt, yes.
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Craig Hanafin, yes?
John O'Donnell, yes?
Corey Miles, yes.
Okay, and lastly, we have SE 42-2929, which is the Harbor Master on Joseph Drybeck Way. This is a request for extension of the dredge spoils area. So I move that we vote to issue a 3-year extension for SE 42-2929. May I have a second?
John O'Donnell, second.
John?
John O'Donnell, yes?
Craig Hanafin, yes?
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jesse Platt, yes.
Corey Miles, yes.
Okay, that concludes our business for this evening. I move to close the Marshfield Conservation Commission meeting of February 7th, 2024. A second, please.
John O'Donnell, second. John O'Donnell, yes?
Craig Hanafin, yes?
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jesse Platt, yes.
Corey Miles, yes.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for zooming in, Corey.
No problem.
And we are adjourned.
And Corey, if you don't mind coming in to sign the forms at your convenience this week, that would be great, so we can issue
Yep,
the
I'll
the
try to
permits.
stop by